everybody, God bless you and welcome. I want to talk about in this video what to do when people don't like you. Unfortunately, as wonderful, as great, and as marvelous as you are, there are going to be people in the world, people that you have to deal with that are not going to like you. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some coping strategies, some things you should be considering when you find yourself, and I'm saying when, because every human being on planet Earth is going to experience this, and we all experience it at some point in our lives, not being liked. So I'm going to share with you what you can do when you find yourself in a situation, and some practical things that you should do, and some things you should be considering when you experience this stuff. So let's get into it. What to do when people don't like you. The first thing I want you to consider and to think about when you find yourself in a situation, whether you're not liked by family members. Yes, there are family members that are not going to like you, family members that you're not going to get along with. You find yourself in a situation when you're not liked by the workplace, by coworkers, maybe groups of coworkers, managers, colleagues, just people you have to interact with at work. You may find yourself in a situation where you're not liked by, people you have to live around, your neighbors. Maybe your neighbors don't like you, and and it's just, different situations where we just meet somebody and boom, they just don't like you just on sight. What do you do? What do you do when that happens? And I wish there was more manuals and things out there to tell people what to do in these situations, but we cope with it, we deal with it. It's tough because nobody likes to be, it's really rejection. It's a terrible feeling when you have to deal with someone that doesn't like you. It makes you feel bad, and we begin to internalize it. And if you find yourself internalizing it and you feel that rejection, it's especially tough if you're a person who has struggled with self-image and low self-esteem. You have certain insecurities. It can really trigger certain insecurities for you when you're not liked. Deep scars that you may have had and carried with you throughout childhood. It hurts. It really, really hurts. Some people deal with it a little better, but those of us who are sensitive people, maybe you're an empath like me, it's rough. It's tough because you're feeling every ounce of that disdain, and you're feeling every bit of that, that vitriol that's coming at you, right? So what do? Well, one thing that you should consider that's actually a coping mechanism and strategy is that you have to remember that when people feel that way about you, when you feel the hatred coming at you, and you feel, haters and stuff like that, remember that it's not your problem. That's the number one thing you should be considering. It's not your problem how other people feel about you. You know why it's not your problem? Because you cannot control it, right? You can't control it. You can't control the way people feel. You can't control the things that people do, right? But you can control what you do and how you feel. And you have to remember that it's not your problem. It's not your problem that other people don't like you. Don't make it your problem. We make it our problem when we let it in. When we begin to internalize, and when we begin to beat up on ourselves, well, yeah, this person doesn't like me. Maybe there's something is wrong with me. Maybe I am, No, it's oftentimes, you come into the situation and you meet people that don't like you. That's their issue. And people cannot like you for the most trivial and most superficial reasons. And it's not your problem. So when you take the burden off of yourself and you stop believing that there's something wrong with you, and you don't let that rejection in, and you don't make that person and how that person feels more important than how you feel about you, right? So that's a good way to think about it. It's not your problem. Somebody doesn't like you, so what? Big deal. Move on. Don't build the bridge and get over it. And I know it's tough. I know it's hard. Listen, I'm an empath. I feel people's energy all day long. And when somebody doesn't like me, I pick everything up. But I have learned to not internalize that. And that's a skill, and it does take time. And I'm not gonna be flippant about that. And not be flippant about how you feel when you do encounter those vibes, right? Those vibes are for real, and they can have a very negative impact on your life if you allow it to. Right? So remember, in this respect, you do have the power. You don't have to let that in, right? So remember that their problem with you is not your problem, even if the person who doesn't like you has some measure of influence and authority in your life. Let's say it's a boss or something like that, or manager or something like that, or a parent or something like that, or even somebody, that has a certain measure of authority that, based on your disdain for you, could do things to you that could have a negative impact because they don't like you. Let me tell you something. If you are a believer, if you are a child of God, God will even make your enemies be at peace with you. If you are living according to his way, if you are in God's purpose. So it's not going to matter whether or not they like you, because there's gonna be plenty of people that will not like you throughout your life. And guess what? It doesn't even matter if you are in the path of purpose, if you are doing the things you know you need to be doing in your life, if you are connected to God, God is not even going to allow them to do the things that they want to do. God, they can be hating on the sidelines all they want, or be hating in your face all they want, is not going to have an impact in your life, because guess what? They are not in control. The hater is not in control. God is in control. And as long as you've allowed God to be in control of your life, it doesn't matter how they feel. So that's why it ain't your problem. Don't make how other people feel about you your problem, because you can't control it. And even if they try to do things to you, no weapon formed against you is going to prosper, because you are in the purpose of God. God has you covered. God has you protected from the haters, right? And in the words of the great philosopher Taylor Swift, haters are going to hate, but you got to shake it off. Shake it all off and keep on moving, because God has got your back. But don't make other people's problem of not liking you your problem. The second thing to consider when you come across folks that just don't like you, you feel the vibe, you feel the negative energy, people, they have, their eye is on you, and, they may say things or try to do things. Just remember to protect your energy, right? We have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to protect your energy. Always protect your energy. And when you come across people where they have you're picking up that negative vibe, they may say certain things, and say things that kind of like undercut you, and like throw jabs at you, say little underhanded things, little devious things, or try to do devious things, and they let it be known that they don't like you. Just be sure to protect your energy. And you protect your energy by, if you're in a situation where you can avoid being around them, you don't have to be around that if you don't need to be. And if you're in a situation where you're dealing with people that that don't like you, but you have to deal with them, you definitely protect your energy by being a person of prayer. You gotta pray. Prayer is part of your protection. So God will begin to do, as we pray and as we go to him and as we connect to him on a daily basis, he begin to basically give you armor. He'll armor you up where the vibe, because with when a person dislikes you, when they have that negative energy towards you, it can penetrate you if you leave yourself wide open. But when you begin to build yourself up spiritually, and you begin to obtain the armor of God, what happens is those negative vibes and those fiery darts from the enemy will begin to deflect off of you, right? And you'll begin to not internalize it or let it in, right? So we have to protect ourselves by doing the spiritual work. And if you can remove yourself from that person's presence, not run away. You don't have to run away from your enemies or people that don't like you. But if you don't have to be around them, then don't be around them. But if you're in a situation where you have to be around them for whatever reason, try to limit your interactions with them. You have to be around. Listen, we are called, if you're a believer watching this, we are called to love people, but you don't have to like people either. You don't like to think like the things that they do to you. Doesn't mean you have to, when I say like, you don't have to accept it. And part of the non-acceptance of it is limiting your time around them. So you can limit your time around them, or avoid them altogether if you can. If you can't, you got to put that spiritual work in. You just got to do what you got to do spiritually and make sure that your prayer life is on point. And if your prayer life is on point, you know, I come across people on a daily basis that don't like me, and it doesn't even matter because haters are going to hate, you know, it doesn't even, so for me, it's like, so what? It's life. It's part of life. And, I'll survive. And guess what? You'll survive too. And that will be that. So be sure to protect your energy, right? And you know, and finally, if you find yourself continually dealing with people and you're getting the negative vibe and you feel like, oh man, nobody likes me, maybe you are the problem. Maybe there's some things within you that you need to change. Maybe there's something about your personality that's off-putting. And I know it's hard to hear. But it's very important for us to be self-aware. It's important for us to do the inner work, and for us to also, you know, to check ourselves. If you find that you are, you know, constantly getting, you know, negative feedback and negative vibes from people, check yourself. And even if you're not, it's good for us to be self-aware and for us to check ourselves. Because if you're watching my channel, you're probably a person who wants to improve yourself. So this is self-improvement. So we should be continually improving ourselves so we can grow. So part of self-improvement is checking yourself and checking to see, maybe I am a problem. Maybe when I do have conversations with people, I talk about myself too much, which could be off-putting and a little gross, right? If you're always talking about yourself and all the conversation centers around you, people don't like that, and they begin not to like you. Hey, this person seems a little narcissistic, and maybe they may say to themselves, I don't want to be around that. And this person seems a little bit self-absorbed, and I don't want to be around that. I can't get a word in. She keeps running her mouth. So you got to check yourself, you know, how are other people, ask yourself this question, how are other people experiencing me, right? So no, I don't believe I have the issue of, you know, talking about myself too much. I've been told that I don't talk about myself enough. But for me personally, I am an introvert and I am an empath. So I have to check myself, because people can experience me as too quiet, maybe a little weird. Maybe they experience me, and I've been told these things, maybe they experience me as being standoffish, or which can be off-putting to people and put people in a situation and they'd be like, oh, I don't want to be around somebody who's standoffish. Or walls, or, you know, sometimes walls of protection come up, you know, as an introvert. So if you're an introvert and you're watching this, we have to be careful, because we could be lovely people, but because of our nature, it could kind of like shut people down and make people not, you know, want to be around us. And we can internalize that as them not liking us. And that might not be the case. And sometimes they may not want to be around that. So it's important that we, regardless of your personality type, whether you're an extrovert or an introvert or whatever, or a combination of the two, we have to make sure that we check ourselves, check our personalities, and ask ourselves the question all the time, how are people experiencing me? Would I want to hang out with me? So we have to make sure that, you know, maybe, and check our personalities. Maybe there's some things about ourselves that we need to change. And there are things that I think everybody needs to change, but we need to check that within ourselves. So there are lots of improvements that I have made socially, and I have a long way to go, because it's tough for me in social situations, but I am improving myself. You know, so sometimes we have to check ourselves, and sometimes we are the issue, and we have to make sure that especially if we're experiencing negative interactions on a continuous basis from people, we have to make sure that we're not the problem. So definitely check yourself. So those are the things that I wanted you to consider, especially when it comes to what to do when you find that people don't like you. I want you to remember that, you know, How they feel about you is not your problem because there's nothing you can do about it. Number 2, be sure to protect your energy. Number 3, be sure to check yourself on a continuous basis. So that's all that I wanted to share with you in this video. Take care, God bless, and I will see you in the next one.